recording? There we go. So like I said, obviously as we work, we can always add in more edge loops to kind of develop the arm here a little more, right? In fact, remember Alt-C, right, for loop cut? I could easily just go in here and add a few more edge loops, right? And then, I could always go to W for move, which you actually don't even have to do that, right? But you can double left click, R for scale, right? Middle mouse button, you see how you kind of bring that in to start to develop that a little bit better. I could double left click on that one to scale it out a little bit, maybe W for move. Or you can easily come in here and kind of develop this arm now more with some extra edge loops, right? But what I really want to start to focus for you guys was starting the face up, right? And I'm not going to do all the shaping for the face yet. Well, this will come in kind of some later videos. But I do want to show you how to start to get this set up. Now, in this case, if I go to 3 for face mode, and then, I can go to Q to toggle me through to my circle select. You'll see I've got basically 4 wide right here, right? Now, if you did put an extra edge loop up the leg to get a 5th toe, you'd have 10 wide, right? And what I will usually do is I'll take an edge loop out down the center to kind of thin that out, right? But you don't have to, and you could always just add, an extra row to your extrusions. But for us, because of the specific way we just did 4 toes, we should have 8, right? 8 wide. 1, 2, 3, 4 on both sides, so that's 8 wide. And you see I'm kind of using these 3 stars again as kind of borders, right? And you see I'm kind of too tall, right? Now, I could easily go back to my tweak tool. I could go to edge mode, 2 for edges. Remember, double left click an edge loop, right? Particularly the one that goes to the 3-star here. And I could always just move this up a little bit. Double left click on this one, move it down. And you see, this is our face, right? That's going to kind of be your forehead, and that's going to be your chin, jawline, right? So those are kind of your borders, the ones between those 3 stars. Now, for me to properly get kind of a head out of here, I need to have 5 tall, right? I have 8 wide, but I need 5 tall. So I need to add in 3 more edge loops, right? So remember, Alt-C for loop cut, particularly since we're using industry compatible. Remember, it is a tool right in here, particularly if you're using modeling workspace. I'm just going to add kind of an extra edge loop there, an extra edge loop there, and then maybe one more up here. So we just add a couple loop cuts through here. Now what's great is this gives us more that we could shape the back of the skull better. This gives us more so that we could do an ear here later on. So that's a great loops to have in the head all around. But also you see that it now gives us, if I go to 3 for face mode, it gives us that 5 tall we were looking for, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So generally, if you've done it the same way I've done it at this point, you should have 8 wide, right? From this one to this one should be 8. You will need to probably add a couple of loop cuts to get 5 tall, though. 5 tall. Once you have that 5 tall, what we do is we go to here, right? I go 1 down. See, I go to row 4, right? So there's 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I go to row 2, and I select 2 faces, right? So 3 for face mode, right? Select 2 faces. The outer face should bump up against kind of this edge loop that goes between this 3-star and this 3-star. Also, you should see that you have 4 polygons kind of where the nose bridge should be available that aren't selected. And what you could do is 2 ways you could do this. Either you could extrude and scale, right? So just Control E, middle mouse click just to extrude, R for scale. But there is also a tool called inset. It's right below the extrude tool, right? Inset. This basically does an extrusion, but instead of moving it out, it scales it in. But it does create the same kind of geometry. So if I was to just go to inset faces, I is the click key for it. And then middle mouse drag, you see how it does kind of a little extrude that it scales in? And you can see this gives us a starting point for our eye. Now I usually just do 1, and then maybe I'll go back to my tweak tool. And you see how I can start to bring this stuff in more to kind of get the eye proper size we want. So often it becomes easier to get a bit of the shape after you do that initial extrusion or inset, right? So keep that in mind, right? That this doesn't have to kind of be your end-all be-all, right? You can start it off and then make it wider. In fact, generally you want to do that. I can then go back and grab those, and I could extrude, right? Control E for extrude, middle mouse button to drag to move it out a little bit. I then will usually use inset, I for inset, middle mouse drag to kind of do an extrusion that scales in. They're right by each other, right? Extrudes here, and inset is right below it. Inset's a neat tool. And then I'll do one more extrusion, middle mouse drag to bring it back. Now, I don't need those polygons anymore, so I can hit delete, faces, and it's a bit goggle-like, right? That's where like 2 for edges, and I could bring some of these edges forward and down to kind of make it less creased there. Maybe enhance it a little bit up here for the eye. So it's going to look a little bit kind of creased here and there, but that's where you just kind of move some of those edges forward to get rid of that crease. Now we're going to put some extra edge loops in and do some more shaping as we go along, but not for today. I just want to show you guys where to put basically the extrusions, which polygons to do this to. So that gives us the eye. What I want to do now is the mouth. So I'm going to go to 3 for face mode. Remember Q toggles you through all of your selection types right up here. I want circle select again. And what I want to do is I want to skip this row, right? Remember, there is a row right here. That's our 5th row, right? That was our 1st row. Our 2nd row was the eye. The 3rd row is here. We skipped that. If you actually notice, there's a good amount of space between your eye and your mouth. It's the zygomatic arch, otherwise known as your cheekbone, right? So I want to skip this row. And what I want to do is I want to grab these 12 polygons, right? 6 wide, right? See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 tall. So it'll be on rows 4 and 5, right? It'll be on rows 4 and 5. And you'll notice the edge of it, because it's 6 wide, actually meets up with kind of the center of the eye. And then what we can do is we can do inset, I for inset. It's right here. Middle mouse drag. Now you will notice that inset will do this on this particular polygon because it goes over the center line. If you go down to the bottom here, you'll see there's a little menu, right? There's a little menu. It says inset faces. You can click on it to open it up. So as long as your inset's still active, you click on this menu, and what you can do is you can turn off boundary. And you see how by turning boundary off, it actually gets rid of that row there and makes it one solid piece. So that's a cool little feature that inset has. Of course, this could all just be an extrusion, right? You don't have to actually use inset to do this. It's just, can be neat. And then, of course, I'll do an extrusion, Control E, middle mouse back. And now we have the start of our mouth. And of course, I could maybe tweak a face up here and here. Maybe 2 for edge to kind of get a bit better shaping for the mouth. We're going to add more edge loops to this, right? But I just wanted to get you guys a good start, right? Maybe one more loop right now. Alt-C for loop cut. These edge loops are self-contained, right? These extrusions and insets we did created a radial pattern. And that means that you could add loops that go all the way through this area. So I could easily add an edge loop to that mouth to kind of tighten that shape up there a bit. All right, I think that'll be a great place to stop for now. We're still going to add more loops, do some more shaping to this, but it gives you a good start for how to create radial patterns easily in a 3D application, right? Extrusions or inset will create the radial geometry structure that we're looking for, right? It's kind of got these radial edge loops. See how they're self-contained kind of ovals? And these other edge loops kind of go out from the center. So that's how you can kind of tell that you've got the radial pattern. All right, I'm going to save that as version 6 now. And that'll be a great place to stop, and we'll do some more work to this at a later time. All right, so let me stop the recording.